We are live at the stroke of one. Can you all hear me? My first question is the sound on? Trouble has arrived. Can you all hear? Can you hear the audio? We are live at the stroke of one. Can you all hear me? My first question is the sound on? I'm getting a cool. Trouble has arrived. I'm getting a darn it. Can you hear the audio? I am getting a feedback though. That's a problem. Can you all still hear the video? Yeah? No? Audio good. Thank you. Okay. Welcome. Welcome all. Thank you guys for jumping in early. Good to see y'all here. Remember to like. Yep. There was, as soon as I said that, somebody liked the video. Thank you. Like the video. The more you like the video, the more people can see it. What I forgot to do was shut down my browser before I started. So I have kind of low memory. I'm starting off with very low memory. I don't know if that's good or if that's going to be workable, but we'll see. Cool. Welcome all. So I wanted to start off. Dang it. I really didn't want to talk about this today because I'm kind of sick of talking about it. So I was, the entire day leading up to this, I was telling myself, don't talk about how YouTube is messing with you. Don't talk about how YouTube is messing with you. Don't talk about YouTube being whatever, being subversive and, the overlords of information. But check this out. So all you guys know that they recently sent out a new terms of service. And the big, headline of the terms of service was about, is your content made for children or is it not made for children? So that was the big issue that they wanted to bring to people's attention. And then they also sent out another email, they sent out a couple emails like, with an overview of, hey guys, this is, here are the changes, or here's what's going to be happening. Here's what to look out for. YouTube oligarchs. Exactly. Thank you, Kevin Jensen. So Fiesta just sent me a video with Ben Swan. Let's get past this. You guys can't see this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. She sent me a video with Ben Swan on RT talking about, in the terms of service, starting December 10th, YouTube can basically take down any channel. They can block your access to YouTube if they deem your channel not commercially viable. So, right. So, that they've been suppressing many YouTube channels. They've been demonetizing channels. If you're a small channel, if you already have 100,000 subscribers or a couple 100,000 subscribers, you're fine, you're good. But for a small channel like this one or other ones, other channels that are just starting out, or maybe just, have like 10,000 viewers or 20,000 subscribers or whatever, it's a lot harder, to grow your following and grow your channel because they've been suppressing everything. And they've definitely been suppressing this channel, like absolutely suppressing it. So basically what they're saying is after December 10th, they can basically delete your channel or take down your channel or take down your access if you're not commercially viable. Thank you. Yes, swanky shirt. Thank you. So the reason why I'm talking about that this has to do with access to information. This has to do with YouTube, ramping up, stepping up the game as far as like trying to shut people down, right? They've just added another brick in the wall of like, here's another tool we have in our pocket in order to, get rid of people we don't like, or get rid of channels, whose messages we don't agree with. And this should be very disturbing to people. That being said, so I don't know what that means for this channel, but that being said, I definitely need to look for alternative spaces to host my channel. So I'm going to let you guys know about that. I hear a lot about Rockfin. I know that there are other streaming sites, channels out, places that you can host videos on, and YouTube obviously has the most viewers. It has the the biggest platform. It has the most access. Everybody's on YouTube. But if you're any kind of alternative information type channel, if you're a progressive news channel, if you're outside the mainstream news information bubble in any way, shape, or form, you should absolutely look for alternative sites in which to host your videos. So just gonna let you guys know, I'm gonna seek out some other channels, and I will let you know. I may start having to host this channel on another channel concurrently, just in case something happens to this channel, and you guys can still find me. It is a swanky shirt, and I was just feeling swanky today. I don't know. Make puppy videos, or maybe I should, we'll do an unboxing climate change video, right? Well, we're gonna have climate change delivered to my house, and then we're gonna unbox climate change. You think that would be good? Andrea Schumann, AMTV. I'm familiar with AMTV. Did something happen to AMTV? Anybody? Do you have any information on that? Amazon owns Twitch. Oh, or is AMTV is the alternative channel? Because there's actually a channel on YouTube called AMTV. So maybe that's what you mean, Andrea. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna look around. I'm gonna suss it out. We're gonna do makeup for climate change videos. We're gonna do climate change fashion videos. Okay, that's how we're rolling. Do a does it blend show for climate change. Exactly. Remember to like the video, guys. The more people that like the video, the more people can see the video, the more people can watch the video while we're doing this. So yeah, I'm going to link that Ben Swan interview. Ben Swan, I'm a fan of Ben Swan. He does really good work. If you remember a few years ago, he actually disappeared for a little while. He got booted off of his television show in Atlanta, and his Facebook page disappeared for talking about, one of those third rail subjects that, you were not allowed to talk about on YouTube or anywhere else. Especially mainstream, he got too close because he was on an actual television station in Atlanta. So he got way too close to, letting the cat out of the bag. Like, it's cool if you were talking about that on YouTube, but dear Lord, don't ever say anything about that on a regular TV channel. Sultan Bev, evening, 9 p.m. here in UK. Welcome. I could broadcast on AMTV. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I'm going to have to check it out. Climate change fashion. Yeah. People dressed in rags, people wearing, one shirt for 3 weeks. How does it look on me? People with, one pair of boots that's like 10 years old. People with radiation burns on parts of their bodies. How's it look, guys? I don't know. I'm getting a little bit. Human says use coded language. Well, yeah, if you really want to be super subversive. But the thing is, I mean, yeah, we could go that way. We could go that route. Sure, why not? You know, the thing is that it's, telling the truth about climate change if you tell the truth about anything, you kind of have to tell the truth about everything, right? And so it's just, I can't keep my mouth shut as far as like, and climate change seems to be, in the safe zone on YouTube. You can actually talk about climate change all day and saves on YouTube. Does anybody care to listen? That's the question. But as soon as you go outside of the climate change thing into like kind of nefarious political stuff or, conspiracy theories or, politics that are outside of the, political views that are outside of the mainstream approved views. As soon as you do that, then people are like, oh my God, YouTube or the powers that be or the social media platform that you're using, whatever it is, they're like, mum's the word. Can't deal how to fix your boots with natural fibers. That's an informative YouTube video. I think maybe we should do that. Maybe I'll just turn it into like a gardening channel. I don't know. Oswald says, are you a fan of Pat Metheny? Hell, Metheny. Yes. I like Pat Metheny and I also like Pat Metheny. Hemp boots. Let me see. Methane levels 2.3 parts per million over here today. That is super high, right? Because how in the world? Well, climate change. That's how. Methane levels at one point, or the baseline methane levels in the last couple hundred years was something like 0.7 parts per million. Now it's 2.3. Not good. Gene says, people ask me about the climate crisis, and I ask, do you really want to know? Sometimes they say no. It's a fair question. Literally, I do the same thing. When somebody asks me, when I am about to go on a climate change rant, I'm like, do you want to talk about this? Is this a good moment? Is this a good time for you? How depressed do you want to get in this space and time? Yeah, maybe this will just be like Kevin fumbles with gardening channel, and then we'll kind of like try to slip in climate change news in there. I'll just be walking around and like breathing hard. Okay, all right, guys, did you hear about Greta today? Yeah. Anyways, my tomatoes are coming in. They are coming in nicely. Actually, my tomatoes are coming in nicely. I've got some tomatoes growing, some peppers growing. I actually have some zucchinis growing. That's about it right now that I can think of. I'm going to do some winter planting, but it's probably already too late for winter planting. I don't know. It's hard to tell in Southern California because on any given day it can be 90 degrees now, right? In climate change land, it can be 90 degrees in any given day in Southern California. So, you plant some winter plants thinking it's going to be cool and, everything's going to be nice and like in the 70s, 60s or something highs, and it's going to get cool at night, and all of a sudden it's like there's a heat wave in the middle of November. Oops, there's a heat wave in January. Oops. So it's just kind of summer all year round here, and that's just plant what you want and go for it. Anyways, so I wanted to bring you that news that if you are a YouTube channel, if you're a YouTube creator, if you are, a fellow climate change YouTuber, basically any channel on YouTube, anybody on YouTube, if you're putting out content, they basically have a rule, and you've signed the terms of service so you can keep using the service. they basically have a legal out where they can just axe your channel at any point. Gene says, Kevin, it isn't over yet. We need to do this gracefully. In community, you could focus on community building and humanitarian values. We will need it. Yeah, I mean, that's, there's no reason that I have to actually, stay in my current format. It's just that the point of this channel in the beginning for me was kind of like to have a release. It was very personal because I didn't have a lot of people to talk about climate change with, and this was an outlet for me in order to talk about climate change. It also becomes an outlet for me to talk about politics. There's actually not a lot of people I can talk about politics with either. I take in a lot of news, but I don't really get to discuss it with people or like-minded people. And it's important for me to be another, megaphone for the truth on some level, because I have, because there is a following here, because, there's an audience here, and it's my duty to speak the truth. But anyways, whatever. Human, we could start a citizens assembly here. That's an awesome idea. That's a beautiful idea. Speaking of citizens assembly, I want to move on to another video. Making a video talking about other videos. I always love that. Oswald says, before I move on, Oswald says a lot of people are migrating to BitChute or Bitwave for live streaming, but there are a lot more right-wing asshole trolls who look out for lefties on there. Thanks for the info. Yeah. There are many, and I've heard of BitChute and Bitwave too. There are many alternative channels to YouTube. It's about finding kind of the right space for doing it, the right platform. I don't know. I'll investigate. If anybody has any information, feel free to email me. We are kind of already a citizens assembly, but we don't do a lot of voting and deliberating, or we don't do a lot of we're putting forth this idea. How does everybody feel? There's kind of already that thing going on organically, but there's a lot of things that I disagree with. There is, an overriding consensus about certain things that I would disagree with, as far as, a consensus in the comment section, and vice versa, whatever. That's not to say that it's not a good idea to start. But anyways, all right, moving on to Jimmy Dore just interviewed Gail Bradbrook from Extinction Rebellion, which is encouraging because, even on the progressive channels, climate change kind of takes a backseat to all the, the Trump news and the Democratic primary news and the overthrowing dictatorships around the world news, and all of that is very, worthy and all that. But there's already a lot of people covering that. And then, these progressive channels kind of we'll stick in something about climate change. But anyways, I'm going to link this interview with Gail Bradbrook. It's an interesting interview because Jimmy Dore twice tries to bring up renewables, right? Switching over to renewables and how we can replace fossil fuels. And both times Gail Bradbrook was like, yeah, and actually there's, it's a bigger picture than that. It's much deeper than that. Here are some other problems that we have that we need to address. Basically talking about the fact that we consume, 1.7 Earths a year in resources, and that we're over farming, and our farming practices are destroying our soils. It also is destroying our souls. Lightning Rod, hello. anyway, so she basically, Jimmy Dore was kind of, I don't know, on a lot of, I said, I don't know, right there. And I'm sure you'll love that. A lot of the progressive channels kind of have this very, mainstream liberal, even though they're progressives, it has this mainstream overview of climate change as in, we gotta switch to renewables and we have to, we have to get off the fossil fuels soon. And then, that's it. It just ends at that. The commentary and the insight or the long-term view of what it is we need to do with climate change, it just ends right there. Like, we got to get off fossil fuels and we got to switch to renewables, which is totally bogus. We all know that that's bogus. So Jimmy Dore kind of is in that lane, I guess, of thinking he knows that climate change is a problem. He knows that climate change is really bad. Maybe he doesn't want to get that deep into climate change because he doesn't want to frighten off his viewers or whatever, but he just, all Jimmy Dore could bring up was, well, we got to switch to renewables, and isn't it cheaper to create renewable energy than use fossil fuels? And she steered the conversation in another direction. And all of this is to say, when people talk about Extinction Rebellion, talking about that, they just want to support the Green New Deal, and they're just all about keeping capitalism going. Bullshit. That is bullshit, guys. So that's not true, and I really wish that people would stop that misinformation. I wish that they would stop that within themselves. If that's what you think, you're not listening. You should go to Extinction Rebellion, the Extinction Rebellion YouTube page, and you should watch many videos, and you should also listen to Roger Hallam speak, and you should listen to Gail Bradbrook speak, and you should listen to them talk about climate change and understand that they have a very good understanding of what climate change is. They understand that we are in a terrible place, that we're screwed, that we might not have a chance, and that's why they're saying we got to get off fossil fuels, net zero carbon in 5 years. That's why they're making these insane demands that everybody else, insane by, in modern industrial society standards, they're making these demands with the full knowledge that we're in deep trouble and that we need a citizens' assembly and that we need much deeper thought into what the solutions might be. And they're not talking about, well, look, come on, guys, let's just switch over to electric cars. That's not what they're saying. I hope everybody knows that. I really don't want to see that in the comment sections anymore. I'm sure that I will see it in the comment sections, and whatever, speak your piece or speak your mind, but just please don't spread misinformation about Extinction Rebellion. They are doing good work. Gene says Jimmy Dore is my animal spirit. I love Jimmy Dore. He's one of my favorite people and YouTubers on the planet. And he's my go-to for progressive news. But even Jimmy Dore needs to do more climate change coverage, and even Jimmy Dore needs to understand the actual true nature of where climate change is at and where we are at and what it would actually take to, get us going in the right direction. And no, really, it's too progressive of an idea, right? It's too left. Like, if you really start talking about what it would take, nationalizing the fossil fuel industry and nationalizing most corporations and putting them out of, as soon as you start saying that stuff, that's head explosion even for progressives, even for people who know that climate change is a real thing, but they just don't want to go there. Like, they're not going to go like, yeah, we should bring the whole entire military home and, just destroy the military budget or take the military budget and go, put it towards fixing climate change. And everybody should live in, regional little communities where they're growing their own food and permaculture is happening and et cetera, right? Like, they don't really want to go there. They're still kind of supporting the paradigm. And that is, that's one of my very few complaints with a lot of the progressive channels and Jimmy Dore and whoever else might fall under the umbrella of progressive channels is that they still think that the dominant paradigm is somehow, something that we should be supporting, like, flying and driving and making babies and doing all that stuff, right? Environmental Coffee House says XR is doing good work. Get the average Joe involved. Absolutely. XR is making inroads. They're gaining viewers. They've got like almost 50,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel. They are getting the word out, and like their tactics or not, they're effective. They're effective, and they're forcing people to have conversations they don't want to have, and that's what we're trying to do on this channel. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to let people know, this is a real problem, and, maybe you don't want to watch, or maybe you don't want to listen, or maybe you don't want to know, or maybe you don't want to think about it, but the information is there if you really want to know. Environmental coffee. Dora starts talking about that, he'll lose 50% of his audience. Well, that's the thing, is that there are certain, guardrails, if you will, even for progressive channels. Like, you just can't go over here because, I totally understand. I don't fault them for that, because, some of those things that if you start talking about some of those things, you might just have your channel deleted. Even if you have 600,000 viewers, even if you have 1 million viewers, if you get your channel deleted, that's why Joe Rogan won't talk about certain things anymore. He's kind of like moved his position about certain conspiracy theories that he used to talk about all the time. He's moved his position because he understands, like, there's a real chance he could get shut down, and there's a real chance that he could go up against some real heavy duty, power play kind of stuff. They're doing it. They're being smart, I guess. This is political in some ways. I don't know. Sultan Bev says, I'm still not sure if XR mentioning the O word yet. O word. I don't know. Enlighten me. My brain is not, I'm not making connections today. It's hard when people are making comments and they kind of, it's hard to explain, like, something, people are making quick comments. So there's a lot of space for me to misunderstand what people are saying in the comment section. The Gail interview brought the trolls out. I'm sure that it did. Yeah, because, Jimmy Dore has viewers from all over. He has, viewers on the right and viewers on the left. He has a very mixed viewer base. And so, of course, you're going to, you start interviewing Extinction Rebellion, man, you are going to poke the trolls. Overpopulation, yes. Thank you. Yes, so she did mention a bunch of things, but she didn't say overpopulation. So thank you, Sultan Bev, for bringing up that point. That's a great point. She went to a lot of things, but she didn't go to overpopulation. And there you go. That's one of the ultimate third rails, right? So you have kind of guardrails. You have places where you can't go in when you're in public speaking, or when you're trying to get people to get on board with your message. You don't want to say certain things because all of a sudden everybody's like, oh my God, oh, they said blah. And then we can't. The thing is that the more you say it, the less it becomes a thing. And if you just, go ahead and jump right in. You don't want to go overboard, but like maybe have a way to bring it into the conversation that's, not so incendiary, right? Think of a way to start easing it into the conversation so that, so it doesn't become an immediate, like, oh, they're talking about killing people, whatever. Degrowth. Exactly. Thank you, Sultan Bev. Sultan Bev, you're actually doing a lot of good thinking on my behalf. So thank you. Because, so if you say the word degrowth, you can apply that not just to the economy, but to, the population, right? If you say overpopulation, but if you say degrowth, I don't know. That could, if you apply degrowth to the population, that could be misinterpreted. But it's a different word, right? So that's a different word for people to start taking into their consciousness. Yeah, but you can't talk about overpopulation, but when you start talking about depopulation or climate change taking people out, right? Climate change will kill this many people. This many people die every year from pollution, from particles in the air. You can't link that to, if you link that to climate change and you link climate change to overpopulation, I don't know. Anyways, whatever. Okay. We hit overshoot in 1970. We did. Please remember to like the video, guys, so we can get more viewerships. We were up to about 73 and we got back down, but thank you guys. Refuse, reuse, recycle. I like that. Violent crumble. Thank you so much. Refuse, reuse, recycle. Policy discussion. Exactly. Human says, okay, boomer. Okay. So, on that note of talking about Gail Bradbrook, let's go to Greta Thunberg. Sorry, I keep messing that up. Greta Thunberg turns down environment prize for her climate activism. Did we talk about this already, guys? I don't think I covered this. So again, Greta Thunberg is, a tool of the globalists, and she's just trying to push the Green New Deal, and she is not. She's just a tool. She's, she's not a real person. She's a robot, blah, 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 blah. November 1st, from Democracy Now!, Greta Thunberg turns down environment prize for her climate activism, Swedish teenage climate. So the prize was $52,000 in award money. That's a lot of money. She turned it down. She said, it's a huge honor. The climate movement does not need any more awards. What we need is for our politicians and the people in power to start to listen to the current best available science. I'm sorry if I'm bringing this up. Thunberg, thank you, human. Greta is a garden tool. Meant in the best possible way. She's, I don't know if I talked about this before, but she's a real person. And one more article about Greta. No one seemed to notice Greta Thunberg's critique of the Green New Deal. Greta Thunberg's rebuke of Congress, this is from September, last week took no prisoners and showed no favor to heroes of the left who have styled themselves friends of the environment. Though Thunberg did not utter the words Green New Deal, she characterized partisan efforts that envision an idealized future as unhelpful dreams. Again, when she was talking about, dreams of more money. And her criticism culminated in these words: no matter how political the background to this crisis may be, we must not allow this to continue to be a partisan political question. The climate and ecological crisis is beyond party politics, and our main enemy right now is not our political opponents. Our main enemy now is physics, and we cannot make deals with physics. The Achilles heel of the Green New Deal is that it deploys the climate crisis as a liberal cause, which ensures conservative opposition. Well, it also employs, mostly the Green New Deal employs the climate crisis as a way to continue capitalism, continue industrial civilization as we know it. And we cannot do that. She further says, wherever I go, I seem to be surrounded by fairy tales, business leaders, elected officials all across the political spectrum, spending their time making up and telling bedtime stories that soothe us, that make us go back to sleep. These are feel-good stories about how we are going to fix everything. how wonderful everything is going to be when we have solved everything. But the problem we are facing is not that we lack the ability to dream or to imagine a better world. The problem now is that we need to wake up. It's time to face reality, the facts, the science. And the science doesn't mainly speak of great opportunities to create the society we always wanted. I'm going to read that again. The science doesn't mainly speak of great opportunities to create the society we always wanted. It tells of unspoken human sufferings, which will get worse and worse the longer we delay action, unless we start to act now. And yes, of course, a sustainable, transformed world will include lots of new benefits, but you have to understand, this is not primarily an opportunity to create new green jobs, new businesses, or green economic growth. This is above all an emergency, and not just any emergency. This is the biggest crisis humanity has ever faced. Boom, boom, boom. So again, to any people that are saying, to anybody who's like, oh, Greta is a tool or a cool tool of the capitalists, or she's being controlled, you cannot say that stuff and be controlled. You can't. She's not putting forth a feel-good message. So, anyways, that's all I wanted to say about those issues. I mainly wanted to make those points. Please, encourage support of Extinction Rebellion. Encourage support of what they are doing. Encourage support of citizens' assemblies. Encourage support of public people in office or publicly run governments, and getting rid of oligarchs, politicians, and elites who currently control all of the information, or most of the information we're getting. And they're trying to clamp down on any alternative information or anybody outside of official mainstream beliefs. So yes, this video actually is being live streamed on, what is it called? Climate Crush TV, which is at frozen.earth, .tv, I think. Anyways, for anybody that wants to know. Going south, Greta is out of control by big oil. Yes, please like the video if you can, so we can get more viewers on here. We're steadily at about 60. We were getting up to about 70. Then we started talking about overpopulation. I don't know. I don't know if that made people mad. Who knows? It's not a scary topic, guys. It's something that needs to be talked about and conversation. Nobody is talking about one group of people being responsible for everything. This is a global collective climate crisis, and this should be a conversation among people from all countries, all walks of life, all income statuses, a citizens' assembly, if you will. Environmental Coffee House says, keeping us in an echo chamber. Valhalla says, I want to know just how are you going to convince the public that doesn't care to do what you want them to do? How? That's a great question. It's very difficult. A big problem with that is that, the public is being fed a certain narrative, 24 hours a day. There's 24 hours a day on mainstream television. There's this narrative that socialism is, basically communism, and it's basically evil, and that it basically doesn't work, and all of that is false, right? All of those, but you know, it's 24 hours a day. It's brainwashing. So, you know, there's the brainwashing from the mainstream media is like, oh, climate change. Yeah, we got to worry about that. Anyways, back to whatever's going on over here. You know, it's this like acceptance that we, you know, we can kind of say something about it, but we want to, you know, the mainstream narrative is that, you know, climate change is a thing, and what we got to do is do green things and buy green things and make sure everybody buys an electric car, and how cool it's going to be when we have all this green tech, you know, to help us be more ecological or whatever. That's the narrative. So it's all about keeping the consumption going and keeping, you know, people think that going green, and this is still true, like even just run-of-the-mill liberals, you know, whatever, people that are really nice people and, you know, think good thoughts and want to do good things for people. Like, you know, your regular liberal out there thinks that they can just go to the store and buy green things. And, you know, they feel really good about, oh, look I bought this thing that's, you know, like that's for most people, like going green means throwing away some stuff and going to the store and buying more stuff. Like, you know, you got to turn off the television for one thing, and you got to you know, I don't know if you're going to convince other people to turn off the television, but if you can get them on some other kind of platforms where they're getting other news, and they are getting other news, they are getting on other platforms. That's happening. That's slowly, steadily happening. I don't know, man. It's a big push, Valhalla. It's a big push to change the dominant thought process. It's a huge push, but it's happening. It is happening. It is going on. Like, to all the naysayers that like, oh, we'll never, you know, people don't know anything and they'll never know anything. You know, okay. There's a certain part of that, but there's also a lot of people that want to know, you know, real information. They really want to know what's going on, and they really want to do something different, and they really want to know how to connect with other people that want to do something different. Like, so I don't know. We kind of have to live in that duality of it might never change, and change is happening, you know, so change is actually happening, and we might not make it in time. We might not make that change happening in time. Thank you. I'm glad you like the shirt. You know, bought from a local thrift store, if you want to know. It's freaking my eyes out. Is it too, you know, this is like one of those shirts that you can't wear on TV because they like don't wear something that's going to do weird things to people's eyes or do weird things to the camera. I don't know. You know, you got to show people what climate change is doing to the planet. You know, you got to show people, you know, you just got to encourage the conversations. And you got to have real conversation. You know, you got to go beyond the nice, friendly thing about climate change. Climate change just being we got to buy better things, and telling people that you know we gotta live outside this paradigm. We got to stop consuming. We got to stop, you know, buying things made of plastic. We got to stop driving. We got to stop flying. We got all those things. Anyways, so please support Greta Thunberg. Please support Extinction Rebellion. They are doing good work. Let's talk about some climate situations that are happening just to get into it. Venice is, you guys know what is happening in Venice. They have these high tides basically have flooded Venice. This isn't a storm surge. This isn't a hurricane. This isn't this isn't a disaster necessarily. This isn't extreme weather. This is just a high tide, a king tide, if you will. And this is stuff that's happening in Miami and Louisiana and the Marshall Islands and Alaska, and it's happening all over the world. And it's happening in Venice, Italy. Venice's historic flooding blamed on human failure and climate change. Apparently they've been building a flood barrier system, but it's not ready. An extreme high tide inundated 85% of Venice on Tuesday night, drowning some parts of the city in 6 feet of water. Floodwaters pushed boats ashore and swept through buildings, swiping groceries off shelves and knocking library books into murky pools. Schools closed. A city council meeting was canceled. Residents and tourists navigated streets and waist high waters. One man in his 70s died from electrocution as he tried to turn on a pump in his home. Ahead of the floods, a full moon beamed over heavy rain and strong southerly winds, which all worked together to draw the tidewater up unusually high this week. I believe a few years ago they had exactly the same thing happen. They had a high tide. It wasn't necessarily a storm surge. It was just a high tide. Anyways, this is going to continue, and this is not going to get better. This is just another sign that climate change is on its way to, wiping normal life out for many people in many cities around the world. We're at 72 viewers, guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. So somebody said something about naked, and I'm trying to figure out what the heck. The world, S. Shiva says, the world's almost over, and they say there's nothing we can do about it. Let's just get naked. I'm actually totally with you on that. Going South says maybe do the next show naked, Kevin. I'm a little shy on that, but I actually walk around my house naked whenever I can. Whenever I possibly can. I have no problem with that. I don't know about doing a show. Henry Holt says naked is good. I mean, come on, guys. If we're going to enjoy the last few years, at least we could do it naked. Gene says New York City could be the new Venice for a while. What happened to the super chat button? Val says. Good question. The super chat button is working if y'all want to contribute to the channel. If you can't, it's all good. We had a lot of super chats last week, and I get your donations on PayPal, guys. So thank you for your donations on PayPal always. Very generous. I have a very generous audience, and I do get your donations. So thank you. Human says Wheel of Misfortune. Zoxalix says that's right, Kevin. This year it's a high tide. Next year it's an I tide, a thigh tide. Next year it's an I tide, and finally a die tide. Yep. As Shiva, naked house wandering works for me. Yeah. Going South says just mark your channel not for kids and go naked. Exactly. I did mark my channel not for kids. Not that I don't want children to know this information, but this is, this channel isn't necessarily geared for children. So no. The Dude, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for liking the video, guys. We're at 70 viewers, 45 likes. Let's see if we can get a little more climate change news in before the end of this video. More flooding news. This is from October 28th. So a few weeks ago, prolonged Missouri River flooding could last all winter. No end in sight. This is from Omaha, Nebraska, and I believe I got this from Nick Humphrey, who is a resident of Omaha, or Lincoln, I think. He's in Nebraska. Flooding along the Missouri River has stretched on for 7 months. 7 months of flooding along the Missouri River, and you don't really hear that talked about in some places and could endure through the winter, leaving some upper Midwest farmland and possibly some homes encased in ice. There are several reasons for the flooding, including high levels along the river, saturated ground, and broken levees. And with the forecasters predicting a wetter than normal winter, it's possible the flooding could continue in some places all the way until spring, when the normal flood season begins. There's no end in sight, none at all, said Tom Bullock, who hasn't been able to live in his northwestern Missouri home since March because floodwaters cut off access to it. Since March. That's insane. In Missouri's Holt County, where Bullock serves as emergency management director, roughly 30,000 acres of the 95,000 acres that flooded last spring remain underwater. And at least some of that floodwater is likely to freeze in place this winter. Similar conditions exist in places along the lower Missouri River, where broken levees will likely take several years to repair. Nearly every levee in Holt County has multiple breaches, and many haven't been examined yet. Repairs aren't likely to start on most of the area's levees until next year. One key contributor to the flooding is that the river remains high because the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is still releasing massive amounts of water from upstream dams to clear space in the reservoirs to handle next spring's flooding. Well, at least they're thinking ahead. The Corps said it has been releasing more than twice the normal amount of water from most of the dams along the river and will likely continue at that pace into mid-December. Good Lord. This is a fairly large problem. This is a disaster in the making. It's bad news for farmers such as Gene Walter, whose low-lying land north of Council Bluffs, Iowa, was underwater for most of this year. Walter still can't work on most of his land because even though the floodwaters have partly receded, it is still too muddy. Crop insurance will give Walter about 75% of his normal income, but this year has been full of additional expenses related to flood damage, so the financial drain has been unbelievable. Many farmers are experiencing the same problem all over the Midwest. Thank you guys for the super chats. I appreciate you. Human, thank you. Val, thank you. You guys are awesome. Trev B5 says 50% sugar beet loss in southern Alberta this year. Uncooperative weather for the harvest. It's a good way to put it. It's not cooperating. Human says there is a unicorn puppy in the news today. Yes. Lady Ella says, yes, I also started my channel as an outlet and also hopefully for feedback and discussion. Thank you. Lady Ella, will check out your channel. Please drop a link anytime in the comment section, or, feel free to promote and get the word out. Yeah, so there's crop losses going on that have been going on, widely reported. Not so much in the mainstream news, but all over YouTube. There's lots of channels that are run by farmers or devoted to reporting on news about what's going on in more rural areas and farming areas, and lots of reports of crop damage and loss and low crop yields. How is this going to affect food prices this year? How is this going to affect food delivery this year? We don't know. We don't know that yet. And it's really more about, what happens if this happens again next year, right? We could probably absorb the losses. We could probably absorb the damage, 1 year. But if this happens year after year, if this is a multi-year flooding situation, then how deep are we into the manure Ask Shiva. I'm going to catch a buzz and see if Kev's shirt trips me out even more. I'm sorry it's tripping you out. I like it. It's so colorful. I'm wearing all black underneath the shirt, so like I just had to spice it up a little bit. Trev B5 says Alberta leading in bankruptcy for Canada. CB Unglesby says family farms are going, almost gone. Sean says the farmers here are still harvesting field corn and can't finish plowing up the ground because the ground froze already. Ooh, that is not good. Really cold temps here in the upper Midwest. Sean, you are in Minnesota, I believe, yeah? Gene says small family farms are financially more profitable. I don't know. I don't know about the veracity of that. I'm not sure. Thanks, guys, for being here. Got a few more minutes in this chat. Please continue liking the video. Going South said Lady Ella was live with a poem today. All right, Lady Ella, I'm going to go check out some of your videos. All right? I'm going to check you out and give you a shout. Oh, I forgot to shout out. There's somebody was in the comment section. Their channel is called Vox Terra, so that possibly means voice of the earth voice. He does like puppets talking about the political reaction to climate change, or it's basically climate change news, but with puppets. So if you're looking for something that, I don't know if it's made for kids or not, he's kind of talking about more in-depth things, but possibly could be more kid-friendly, or could be just something easier to take in and something interesting. If you want to see puppets talking about climate change, go check out Vox Terra, VOXTERRA. Gene says people need to stock up on non-perishable foods. Did I read that already? I think I did, but worth saying twice if I did. Val says, has anybody here heard of Professor Donald Hoffman of UC Irvine? I have not. I'll check him out. Sultan Bev says 1,000 farms a day closing in Europe. Non-good, as Jennifer Hines likes to say. Andrew Ishuman says, I live in central Ohio, and my friend is a soybean farmer, and he had a bad season due to too much rain. A lot of people all over the country have had a lot of farmers, bad seasons this year. Lots and lots of flooding, lots and lots of rain. Multiple, flood events over the course of a few months, just destroying people's ability to get a harvest in the ground, or to get a harvest to grow, or to get a harvest out of the ground, it looks like now. Gene says, Kevin, 4 acres, $1,400 per acre, $40 per acre above 1,000 acres. I see. Okay. Got it. So if you have larger acres, it's cheaper. Yes. Human says, Vox Terra at YT. Yes. Check out Vox Terra. Going South, I subbed to Vox Terra. I think I subbed to him too. I'm not sure. I'm going to go back and check. But I checked out a couple of his videos. Interesting stuff. I like a good puppet video myself. Val says that guy may have the answer. He's talking about the professor. Let me save this. Professor Donald Hoffman at UC Irvine. All right, man. I'm going to save that. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to look him up. Where are we? We are at just about an hour, guys, and I am running very, very low on battery power. I'm going to read a couple more comments, and I think I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys so much for being here. We got up pretty good today into the 70s as far as viewership. All you super chatters, thank you so much for your contributions. So he says, Val says, Hoffman's new hypothesis threatens to rewrite the last 300 years of science. Okay. Interest peaked. I'll definitely go check them out for sure. Human says 2-minute warning. Yeah. We got about a 1-minute warning because my computer probably might shut off. I'm so low on battery right now. It might actually shut off, and I don't want that to happen because that might actually mess up this whole video. Going South says, great show. Best interaction with chat I've seen anywhere. Thanks, Going South. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I've got to sign off. I've got to get to the JOB. Good discussion today. Good chat. Always enjoy. Thank you, Basil. Thanks for getting in right before the sign off. I appreciate you, Basil, for the super chat. Time to put chicken away. Namaste, brothers and sisters. Getting dark in the Finger Lakes. Good night to you, Basil, and good night to you all, wherever you're watching. Or good afternoon on the West Coast here in California. Peace to you all, and we'll see you next week, same time, 1 p.m. next Thursday. Kareem, thumbs up. Thanks for being here. Good night, everyone. Buenas noches.